Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Dal, and it looks like the patch 11.05 and the 20th WoW anniversary are going to be one and the same, and both of them have been announced just recently, which brings in a variety of different rewards, like a big anniversary of 20th year for World of Warcraft, which is going to feature a bunch of free goodies for players to collect just for locking in during that time, but it also brings in more content like Time Walking Classic Dungeons, as well as a Time Walking Classic Raid Edition for players to queue into. But also, we got a revamped version of the tier 2 sets for players to collect. The Drag tier are no longer going to be stuck with the class of the Evoker, getting more classes for them to be able to play into with a massive set of adjustment for ratios, and even the class of Shaman is getting some brand new items. So today I want to take a look at everything we know so far regarding 20th anniversary event and some of the biggest and most exciting rewards that are arriving with this update, and hopefully we'll be able to do a bit more of a deeper dive on this build once it hits the PTR realms. As always, if you want to see more regular War Within updates like these on the channel, be sure to follow and subscribe. Otherwise, let's dive right in. So WoW's 20th anniversary is something that happens every single year around November, and every single year that's celebrated with something new and exciting. Previously, we've had a variety of different celebration rewards. During one of the anniversary events, we got the Obsidian Worldbreaker, for example, a Deathwing inspired mount, which in War Within has dragon riding capabilities, but in past we also got events and rewards like mounts, pets, toys, cosmetics, but also new activities to do and experience during that limited time anniversary event. Also, the anniversary event, with it being like, let's say, 16th year, 17th year anniversary, came with an XP bonus, increasing your experience gained by 16%, 17%. So I'm assuming with 20th year anniversary, we're about to gain 20% more experience. You already have the Warband experience up to 25% for every single character that's at max level, things such as Darkmoon Fair and other holidays that provide like a 10% increase on top of that. But then also you look at a 20% increase on top of it, like, if you're not playing War Within right now and are still on offense, I think 20th anniversary might be the best time to come back or level a character, because your leveling speeds are going to be insane. You're going to be able to hit max level in a handful of hours. As for the actual event with this year's anniversary, we know that we are going to be getting Blackrock Depths dungeon, but transformed into a raid, like a time walking raid, for player sizes of between 10 to 15. There's going to be 8 main bosses with 5 mini bosses, and we also know that this raid is going to be available on LFR, normal, and heroic difficulties. And I'm also going to assume, because we don't really know what the rewards are going to be from these raids, but they're probably going to be something comparable to season 1 content, but it's going to feature a lot of the familiar bosses of the Blackrock Depths, as well as some of the more modernized versions of the original mechanics that still evoke that familiar feel of that instance. There's also going to be outdoor world events, I think. They did say you'll be able to queue for this event, so maybe it'll something that's going to be actual outdoor content, or it's like a queuable, almost like a scenario style thing. But during that event, we'll be able to re-experience the Gates of Encourage, where we'll be able to join Chromie for a timey-wimey experience, where we'll be able to fight a bunch of foes, as well as old expansion bosses. And most likely we'll be able to get a variety of different currencies and rewards through that event as well. Also, Time Walking Classic Dungeons are being added as part of the Time Walking event. Normally, we've seen expansion Time Walking events such as Burning Crusade, Lich King, Cataclysm, Mists of Pandaria, and instead of doing Battle for Azeroth or Shadowlands as the Time Walking dungeon, instead they're actually bringing it all back to the classics. There's going to be a big focus on the classic events, and they're going to be bringing back some of the old dungeons like the Dead Mines, the Dire Maul Part 1 and Part 2, as well as dungeons such as Zul'Farrak and even Stratholme, which is going to be separated into 2 parts also, but they're going to be bringing back the original vanilla versions of those instances as a time walking piece of content. The players will actually be able to queue into starting at level 10 and above, so if you're somebody who's going to be leveling through time walking dungeons, which generally net even more XP than normal dungeons, like even War Within dungeons for instance, this is going to offer even faster rate of catch-up experience, but also the time walking rewards provide a decent bit of starter gear. Speaking of rewards and time walking vendors, apparently those are going to go through a bit of a refresh. There's going to be new transmogs to collect, new mounts, as well as new gear pieces also. During the Time Walking Classic Dungeons event, you also will have opportunity to get rare, unique mounts as well. So mounts such as Death Charger's Reigns from Baron Rivendare, for example, are at least hinted that they are probably going to be on the loot table. So if you still haven't gotten that rare mount, that's going to be another opportunity within the classic Time Walking Dungeons. Aside of this, there's also going to be a bunch of activities happening outside of the Caverns of Time event, which they've done for a couple of years, a bunch of events in Caverns of Time, but this one is going to be a little bit different. There's going to be a lot more activities and festivities to participate in, from things such as a mini version of Trial of Style, as well as lore catching up with the Lore Walker Show, mount minigame where players will be able to show off mounts and even have a bit of a mount off competition. There's an ice ring for players to slide around them just for fun, costumes where players will be able to turn into various bosses and NPCs from previous expansions, guest relations, which is going to be kind of a mix of riddles, clues, and a bit of that secret finding. So if you enjoyed during Dragonflight the Secrets of Azeroth event, that's going to be kind of like a 2.0 version for that during the Caverns of Time events. You're also going to have the Corex Revenge Battleground making a return to the original AV experience with the slower pacing and a big monstrous giants that you'll get to summon for the Alliance of the Horde and everything. That type of a BG is also going to be making a comeback. Classic world boss is also going to be returning that you could find out in the open world, but also 2 other bosses have been added into the rotation, such as Shah of Anger as well as Archimond. As for the actual rewards for participating in this event, you will be able to get a brand new Phoenix mount called the Cold Flame Tempest, but we also will be able to collect armor pieces such as a sword, a crown, a ring toy, and a shield that have very similar type of look to the Cold Flame Tempest, but are actually inspired by some of the service rewards that Blizzard devs can get IRL, which is also pretty cool to see. Besides this, you also have a baby Dreadlord pet, a balloon toy, but also the big one, the 30th anniversary rewards for Warcraft, which are going to be back pieces that are Warcraft 3 themed. So instead of being like the Alliance of the Horde factions, you'll have the Orc faction, the Night Elf faction, the Undead faction, and the Human faction. Also on top of it, players will have the opportunity to obtain some of the older year's anniversary rewards, such as the Baby Blizzard Bear from the 4th anniversary, Onyxian Whelpling from the 5th anniversary, the Molten Corgi, as well as the Core Hound Chain Mount and Hatespark the Tiny from the 10th anniversary, and Little Nefarian from the 15th year anniversary. We also get a modernized version, and this is the best part, of the Tier 2 sets from the original raids. So you might have seen this promoted earlier if you catch up with social media, but the Paladin Judgment armor set, the Tier 2 set, is being revamped and recreated in a more modernized format. The same thing goes for the Priest sets with the vestments of Transcendence, the Hunter set with the Dragon Stalker's armor, although we don't have a preview for this one just yet, the Mage Netherwind Regalia, and even the Druid's Storm Rage Raiment. All those sets are coming back and they're making a revamped version of them. So all the original class sets were part of that Tier 2, except for classes such as Death Knight, Evoker, Demon Hunter, and Monks, which are getting their own variation inspired by some of the different bosses, with the Evoker set inspired by Nefarian from Blackwing Lair, while the Death Knight set is going to be inspired by the Lich King himself, which has a lot of expectations, but they do have a bit of a preview of what the set looks like. The Demon Hunter set looks more like a very familiar Demon Hunter-esque set, like something we've seen in the past, but it's meant to be inspired by Illidan Stormrage. And the Monk itself does have a set that's going to be of same silhouette, but it looks like there's a couple of different recolor variations of that set specifically. It looks like there's a green that's supposed to match Yulon, potentially yellow that's supposed to match Yuzawa, and I assume maybe there's a red for Chi-Ji and blue for Zhuan. Once we have the PTR available to us though, then we'll have a better idea of all variations that monks are going to be able to get, but they have this classic monk hat type of aesthetic to it. Also, if you've been playing around on the Drakthir Evoker, the Drakthir are getting access to 6 new class options as of this update. They're getting access to rogues, hunters, mages, priests, warlocks, and warriors, which opens up a lot more options for playable Drakthir. This also means they're going to be adjusting the ratios a little bit, because all the ratios of the Drakthir are matched to the class of the Evoker, with the tail swipe and the wing buffet ability and all of those basic abilities. Those are going to be adjusted so they're a little bit less impactful for classes like mages, because imagine a mage with a 1.5 second knockup and a knockback on top of their insane Mythic Plus toolkit as is. It would be a best in slot option, so they're going to be doing some tuning, but you'll still be able to keep those ratios even as those other classes. Also, Drakthir that are Evokers are encouraged to utilize their Draconic forms in order to channel their abilities, though as a rogue, warrior, as a mage, as a warlock, you won't have to utilize your dragon form. You'll actually have a choice between the Visage form or the dragon form as a priority, and it's more of a customizable option more than anything. Even when you use your ratios like Tail Swipe and Wing Buffet, you won't be transformed into a dragon form just to use all those abilities, which allows the player to utilize all of those unique Drakthir customization options options to really design your character how you want him to look, while also being able to play a variety of different classes with a very powerful set of racials. But the Dracthyr are not the only ones that are getting some new class options. It looks like the class of Shaman is also getting a brand new Ascendance form, where instead of being this old school classic vanilla elementalist type of model, I think that was added, not quite a vanilla, but I think it was added back in Cataclysm. Instead, they got more of an updated model with a slightly different skeleton that has more of a floaty, more of like ascended, almost Super Saiyan type of thing they got going on with the hair options, where you have more of a bit of like a floaty elementalist rather than some of the jankier animations that are observed on the more classic Cataclysm-esque models. So all of those are going to be available during the 20th anniversary event. And for the most part, the 20th anniversary is going to make up the breadth of the patch 11.05 update. Now, there's probably going to be other things like class tuning and hero talent adjustments, like there's probably going to be all these little things, but in terms of the actual content additions, the 20th anniversary is going to be the bulk of the 11.05 update. This one allows players to experience all this 20th anniversary in a singular patch, and make sure you don't miss out on any of the unique rewards, because this is going to be filled with a bunch of rewards, not just for this 20th anniversary, but from older patches, older updates, and players are going to need plenty of time in order to be able to earn every single one of these rewards, so you'll have an entire 0.5 patch cycle in order to be able to do so. But with that being said, that's going to be literally everything we know so far regarding the 20th anniversary of WoW within patch 11.05, and this update apparently should be available for testing over on the PTR sometime soon, just to make sure that all of the content, all the open world stuff and the dungeons and rewards all function as appropriate. But it's also going to be interesting to see what other class changes and even adjustments we could see in the 11.05 update. But with that being said, so far, this is the entirety of the 20th anniversary. I do want to thank you guys all so much for watching this video, and I hope all of you enjoyed. If you did enjoy it or found it informative, go ahead and give it a like. I would very much appreciate it. Join our Discord community if you got any questions regarding anything when it comes to War Within or the PTR, or if you just want to hang out with the rest of the community, discussing all the different transmogs and sharing all the new stuff if you are going to be diving into the PTR updates yourselves. But definitely join our Discord community. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, what you think about this update, and are you excited? Are you not excited? Let me know all those thoughts, and I'll see all of you guys in another video.